Hi, you are watching Revenge of Reddit. I bought her a ring to propose marriage, but she surprised me by asking for a break in the relationship. When she found out about the ring, she tried to get me back, but by then it was already too late. Deep down, after everything that happened, I can only feel lucky. Things could have ended much worse, but even so, it was a hard blow. What I do know is that I made the right decision, and I don't regret it. I had been in a relationship with Monica for almost 5 years. We'd known each other before. We were friends at university, and with time, everything just happened naturally until we started dating. After we graduated, we decided to take the next step and move in together. We rented an apartment where we lived for 2 years. As far as I could tell, the relationship was stable. We both worked, had our own groups of friends, and also shared activities together. We planned trips, supported each other, and although there were occasional arguments, nothing suggested that there were any serious problems. We were as close as ever. As for fidelity, I never doubted her, not once. There was no reason to. Neither of us was jealous. We didn't have that obsession of checking each other's phones. And in fact, if one of us ever needed to use it, there was never any drama. That kind of trust had always been there. That's why, when I got a major promotion at work, I saw it as the perfect opportunity to take the next step. The promotion didn't just mean recognition. It also meant a considerable increase in income. I started thinking about looking for a house of our own, or even the possibility of buying the apartment we were living in. But before making any big moves, I knew I wanted to propose. I had no doubts. I had already talked with my parents, and they were thrilled. And since we were just a few weeks away from our 5th anniversary, it seemed like the perfect moment. I started planning everything. I wanted it to be something intimate, just the two of us. I was going to cook dinner myself with good wine, soft music, candles. I even thought of asking one of Monica's friends to keep her busy while I got everything ready. The first step, of course, was the ring. I had been saving for it, and I wanted something special. I even considered having one custom made. But after visiting several jewelry stores and looking at displays, I found the perfect ring. It was a 14-karat yellow gold band with 3 small blue sapphires embedded in it. What made it truly special was that Monica had a necklace her grandmother had given her many years ago. A gold chain with 3 sapphires. She adored it, and only wore it on special occasions. When I saw that ring, I knew there was no way I could find anything more fitting, not even if I had it custom made. I didn't hesitate. I bought it right then and there. It cost me $2,200 USD, but that didn't worry me. To me, it was worth every penny if it was for her. I left the jewelry store with the box safely tucked away and a smile on my face, thinking how happy she would be when I gave it to her. Everything was going smoothly. There was only 1 week left before our anniversary. In my head, I already had everything planned: what I would cook, how I would arrange the apartment, where I would put the candles, even what clothes I would wear. But one night, without any warning, Monica told me she needed to talk. We sat down in the living room, and she started speaking in a serious tone, as if she had rehearsed her speech several times. "I've realized that our relationship is a bit stuck," she said, without looking directly at me. "I feel it would be good for both of us to take some time to think. A break could help us clear our minds, and then come back to the relationship stronger." I didn't know what to say. Her words took me completely by surprise. A week earlier, we'd spent a romantic weekend out of town, and there hadn't been any sign that something was wrong. I just stared at her as she kept talking. She said that we needed to broaden our horizons, that this experience would make us stronger, that we could even set a specific time for the break. She also mentioned that it would be best if we lived separately during those days, that she could stay at a friend's house. While I listened to her, only 2 possibilities crossed my mind. The first, Monica no longer wanted to be with me. and this was her way of ending the relationship without saying it directly. The second, she wanted to be with someone else, but also wanted to keep me waiting, just in case things didn't work out. Either way, it was clear to me, if she had real doubts about our relationship, then she didn't see me as a potential husband. And if that was the case, there was no point in moving forward, much less getting married. I didn't say anything for a while, until I realized she was looking at me and repeating her question. "What do you think?" she pressed. I looked at her and replied calmly, "I think I understand. If you believe this is what's best for you, then I'll accept it." Her expression changed instantly. She smiled and hugged me, telling me she knew I would understand because I had always been so thoughtful. "You'll see, after this, we'll be much stronger," she added. Then she said she would pack her things to go to her friend's house the next day. I just told her that, in that case, I would sleep on the couch that night. She didn't seem to care. Later, I went to the bedroom to grab a few things. Before opening the door, I heard her voice. She was on the phone, and by her tone, there wasn't doubt she was talking to a man. "This weekend will be perfect. Yes, everything's set. There won't be any problem," she was saying. "I want to swim in a pool. Make sure the hotel has one." I froze, listening to the rest of the conversation, feeling my stomach twist. That confirmed everything. I didn't need any more proof or an argument that would end in shouting. Let her do whatever she wanted. As I said, deep down, it was lucky it hadn't happened later, when it would have been harder to end things. The next morning, I got up early and got ready for work. Monica had requested a few days off, and now I understood perfectly why. It was obvious she had been planning her big break for a while. That night, I had thought about what to do, and everything led me to the same conclusion. I had to move out. There was no point in staying in the apartment. Besides, after work, I planned to return the ring, which was still in my drawer. She had also woken up early. I heard her opening and closing drawers, moving things around the room. It was clear she was getting ready for what, in her mind, was her new stage of freedom. While putting on my jacket, I mentally checked if I had everything I needed for the day. Then the bedroom door opened, and Monica came out, staring at me with her mouth open. In her hand, she was holding a piece of paper that I recognized instantly. The receipt from the jewelry store where I had bought the ring. I had left it in the drawer of my nightstand, next to the bed. That was the one thing I still needed to grab before leaving. She didn't say anything at first. She just held the paper, opening and closing her mouth as if she didn't know where to begin. "Is this real?" she finally asked, her eyes wide. "You bought me a ring. Were you planning to?" She didn't finish the sentence. She suddenly threw her arms around me, crying. I tried to pull her away and took the receipt from her hands. "Don't worry about this," I said. "It doesn't matter anymore." She looked at me seriously, as if she couldn't believe what she'd just heard. "What do you mean it doesn't matter? Tell me the truth. Were you going to propose to me?" There was no reason to deny it anymore. "Yes," I admitted. "I was planning to do it for our 5th anniversary, next week." As soon as I said that, she broke down, crying even harder, but this time with a smile on her face. "I accept. Yes, I want to marry you." She looked at me with a mix of euphoria and relief. "Can you show me the ring?" she asked, wiping her tears with her hands. "You said it has 3 sapphires, like my necklace?" It all could have ended right there, but out of pure spite, I took the little box out of my drawer. I opened it slowly in front of her, but didn't let her touch it. Her eyes lit up instantly. I saw her hand go automatically to her necklace, stroking the 3 stones she'd had for years. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Did you have it made for me? I can't believe it. It's beautiful." Then she extended her hand, expecting me to slide it onto her finger. But I snapped the box shut and slipped the receipt into my pocket. As I said, I told her, none of this matters anymore. I'm going to return it. She froze, not knowing how to react, as I walked out of the apartment. I barely made it to the elevator when I heard her footsteps running down the hallway. The doors were closing, and she was yelling for me not to do it, to wait. But the doors shut, and I left. Almost immediately, she started calling me and sending messages. I turned off my phone. Even though I had planned to go to the jewelry store in the afternoon, I decided to go right away. I'd apologize at work later. The process was simple. I handed over the ring and the receipt, and they gave me my money back. When I turned my phone back on, it was full of missed calls and messages from Monica. I didn't read them. Why would I? I called a friend and asked him to help me pick up my things from the apartment the next day, Saturday. I also thanked him for offering me a place to stay while I looked for somewhere new to live. That afternoon, when I returned to the apartment, I expected to find it empty. After all, Monica had made her plans. She should have already left. But to my surprise, she was there. As soon as she saw me, she started talking. "I made a mistake," she said, her voice trembling. "I understand that you're hurt, maybe unsure about me, but I realized I was about to make a huge mistake. And since nothing happened, we can fix everything." I just stood there in silence, leaning against the doorframe. "We can pretend yesterday never happened," she continued. "Actually, now I can help you plan our anniversary. I know the whole break thing sounded weird, but now I'm sure I want to be with you." "It's too late for that," I said quietly. "I already returned the ring. It's better if you continue with your break and go with whoever you want." She stepped closer, hands clasped as if she were praying. "Please don't say that. There's no one else. I was just confused," she insisted. She cried. She begged. She pleaded until I got tired and decided to leave that night. I went to a hotel just so I wouldn't have to deal with her anymore. The more I thought about everything, the more certain I was that I'd done the right thing. The only thing that hurt was realizing I'd wasted so many years with a woman like her. And I kept asking myself over and over how things had reached that point. On Saturday morning, I met my friend to start packing my stuff. It was a relief to open the door and see that Monica wasn't there. We started moving fast. My friend and I filled boxes with my clothes and personal items. I didn't want to take everything, some of the things we'd bought together, and I didn't care to keep them. I cleared out what was in the bedroom while he carried boxes to the car. After a while, we were in the kitchen, checking if there was anything left to take. There were just a couple of boxes left when I heard the door open. There she was, Monica standing at the entrance, looking at the mess around the apartment. She stayed there for a few seconds, as if trying to process the scene. Then she started talking, asking what I thought I was doing. I quietly asked my friend to take the last boxes and wait for me in the car. As Monica approached me, crying, he turned around, grabbed the rest, and left. She kept talking in a tone that mixed anger and desperation. "What is all this? What are you doing?" she asked. "I'm moving out," I said calmly. "I've thought about it carefully, and I think it's better if our break is permanent. We'll each go our own way." She started shaking her head. No. You're rushing things. We can fix this, really." Then she handed me a piece of paper. I took it and looked at it. It was a receipt from the same jewelry store where I had bought the ring. "Not everything is lost," she said. "I paid a deposit to make sure no one else would buy it. I couldn't risk someone taking the ring you had custom made for me with so much love." I had never told her I had it custom made, but I didn't see the need to correct her. Let her believe whatever she wanted. She kept talking, begging me to give her another chance. I didn't answer her. I picked up the last box that was left. That seemed to upset her even more. "You're being unfair. You're blowing everything out of proportion." And since she wasn't getting what she wanted, she pulled what I suppose she thought was her last card. "Actually, I never wanted a break," she said, in a tone like she'd just had some great revelation. "This was all a test for you." I stayed silent, waiting to see how far she would take this story. "I felt the relationship wasn't moving forward because you hadn't proposed yet," she went on. "So I came up with the idea of a break to motivate you, but I never really intended to go anywhere." She said it like it was some kind of clever confession, as if she really expected me to thank her for her strategy. She stepped closer and slipped the jewelry receipt into my shirt pocket. "Nothing happened that justifies you leaving me. Please, forgive me. Let's work on our relationship," she insisted. I opened my mouth to tell her no, but she interrupted me, turned around, and ran into the bedroom. From there, she said that she knew I would do the right thing, and locked the door. I stood there, looking at the receipt she had just given me. I couldn't help but smile. At the bottom, in small letters, it said, "Non-refundable deposit." I almost laughed out loud. She had wasted $400 for nothing. I simply crumpled up the paper and let it fall to the floor. I picked up the box, closed the door, and left. Apparently, her confidence that I'd do the right thing didn't last long. As soon as I got into the car with my friend, we saw her coming out of the building, shouting something we couldn't understand. I didn't bother to roll down the window. We left her there and drove away. In the days that followed, she tried to contact me through every possible means. She messaged me on social media, and I blocked her on every platform. She showed up outside my workplace, trying to stop me to talk. I just told her it was over and walked away. She even tried sending some of her friends to make me see reason. But as soon as they started with, "She didn't really do anything wrong," I ignored them and left. And I was left with the peace of mind of knowing I had acted before things went too far. I had gotten my money back, my peace back, and all that was left was to move on. Monica is 26 years old, and I'm 27. According to what some friends have told me after looking into things a bit, it seems she was interested in one of her coworkers. I suppose it's possible that the break was just so she could sleep with him comfortably. But can I be 100% sure she didn't cheat on me before? Honestly, no. Monica's necklace was a gift from her grandmother before she passed away, something deeply sentimental and valuable to her. The ring I bought was beautiful, and I chose it precisely because it matched her necklace perfectly. I thought it would be meaningful, and it was, though not for the reasons I imagined. As for the apartment, I had my name taken off the lease, and it's now completely in Monica's name. If she wanted to keep renting it, that's her problem. And no, she hasn't tried to play the victim with my family or friends. She insists she didn't do anything wrong. So some people did ask me about the details at the end of our relationship. But when I explained what had happened, everyone in my family supported me. As for what Monica has been doing these last few months, it turns out that not long after our breakup, she seemed to decide to go ahead with her break. I know because I saw some of her posts on social media with another guy. If she managed to get over us that quickly, then I figured she was doing just fine. For me, it was hard. After all, you don't just throw away 5 years with someone without it hurting. But deep down, I was relieved that things hadn't been worse. However, I think that moving on of hers was more of a facade than anything else. Recently, she showed up again near my workplace. She started walking beside me and asked if we could grab something to eat, but I refused. Even so, she began talking nervously. She told me she missed me, that realizing what she'd lost had hit her hard, and that now she couldn't get me out of her head. She said she had been confused, that she didn't know what she wanted back then, but that these months apart had helped her understand what she'd had with me. According to her, we were both more mature now and had learned from the experience, so we could start over. She said we wouldn't pretend that nothing had happened, but that the experience would make us stronger as a couple. I hadn't said a word since she started talking, until I decided to ask her, "But weren't you seeing that guy from your office? And didn't you go on a trip with another one? And also, didn't you show up at our friend's birthday with someone else?" She fell silent, as if she hadn't expected me to know those details. So I continued. "It seems to me you have a lot more experience than I do, and maybe you should keep experimenting. That seems to be what you enjoy." There wasn't much more to say after that. At least she doesn't have my new phone number or my new address. Now I just have to hope she doesn't show up at my job again.